I'm Violet. I'm sitting in a quiet cafe, across from my son, Lucas. It's been a year since my world crumbled, and this meeting feels like a small glimmer of hope in the darkness that has surrounded me. As I look at Lucas, I see the pain and anger still lingering in his eyes. I don't blame him. I betrayed his trust, and I've spent the past year trying to come to terms with the person I was and the person I need to become. I remember the day it all fell apart. I was sitting in my son's apartment, surrounded by the evidence of my theft. The cameras had captured everything: the money I took from the freezer, the jewelry I tried on, the USB drive filled with family photos that I pocketed like a common criminal. I had always seen myself as a protector, a matriarch who knew what was best for my family. But in that moment, I realized how wrong I was. I had crossed a line, and there was no going back. It all started when Lucas married his wife, Lily. She was a kind and gentle soul, a teacher who loved her students and her family. But I couldn't help but see her as a threat to my control. I had always been the center of Lucas's world, and I didn't like the idea of sharing him with someone else. I began to insert myself into their lives, using the excuse of safety to justify my actions. I asked for a spare key to their apartment, and when they hesitated, I insisted. I told them that I was just looking out for them, that I needed to be able to get in case of an emergency. They reluctantly agreed, and that's when the trouble started. I began to use the key to let myself into their apartment when they were away. At first, it was just a quick check-in, a way to make sure everything was in order. But then, my curiosity got the better of me. I started to snoop through their things, looking for any signs of weakness or disloyalty. I found a large sum of money hidden in the freezer, and I couldn't resist the temptation. I told myself that it was for their own good, that I was going to use it to make a wise investment. But deep down, I knew that I was just being selfish. I wanted to feel powerful, to have control over their lives. One day, I saw a beautiful porcelain vase in an antique shop. It was a symbol of wealth and refinement, and I knew that it would look perfect on my mantle. I wanted it, and I was willing to do anything to get it. I decided to take the money from the freezer, just enough to buy the vase. I told myself that I would pay it back, that it was just a temporary loan. But I knew that I was lying to myself. I was stealing, plain and simple. That's when Lily discovered what I had done. She found the evidence on the cameras, and she was devastated. She confronted me, and I tried to defend myself, but I knew that there was no excuse for my actions. Lucas was torn between his love for me and his loyalty to his wife. He wanted to believe that I was a good person, that I had made a mistake. But the evidence was overwhelming, and he couldn't ignore it. The police were called, and I was charged with felony theft. I was humiliated, ashamed of what I had done. I had always been so proud of my reputation, of my standing in the community. But now, I was a criminal, a pariah. The trial was a nightmare. I sat in the courtroom, listening to the evidence against me, feeling the weight of my guilt. The judge found me guilty, and I was sentenced to probation, community service, and restitution. I lost everything: my reputation, my friends, my family. People who had once looked up to me now turned their backs on me. I was alone, isolated, and filled with regret. But in the midst of my despair, I found a glimmer of hope. I started volunteering at the local library, and I discovered a new sense of purpose. I loved working with the children, helping them to find books that they loved. It was a small thing, but it made me feel useful, like I was making a difference. I also started to write a letter to Lucas and Lily, trying to explain what had happened and to apologize for my actions. It was a difficult letter to write, filled with pain and regret. But I knew that I needed to do it, that I needed to take responsibility for my mistakes. I drove to their house one night and slipped the letter into their mailbox. I stood there for a long time, looking at the mailbox, hoping that they would read the letter and understand. Days turned into weeks, and I heard nothing from them. I was beginning to lose hope, to think that I had lost them forever. But then, one day, I received an envelope in the mail. It was from Lucas, and it said that he wanted to meet me for coffee. I was filled with a mix of emotions: hope, fear, and excitement. I didn't know what to expect, but I knew that I had to go. So here I am, sitting across from Lucas, trying to find the words to say. I want to tell him how sorry I am, how much I love him, and how I'm willing to do anything to make things right. Mom, Lucas says, breaking the silence. I read your letter. I believe that you're sorry, but it's going to take time. I'm still angry, and I don't know if I'll ever be able to forgive you. I nod, tears streaming down my face. I understand, Lucas. I don't expect you to forgive me. I just want you to know that I'm committed to changing, to being a better person. Lucas looks at me, his eyes softening. I can see that you've changed, Mom. You've been volunteering at the library, and I've heard good things about you. I think that's a step in the right direction. I smile, feeling a glimmer of hope. Thank you, Lucas. That means a lot to me. I'm trying to make amends, to show you that I'm worthy of your trust. We talk for a while, about his work, about Lily's teaching, about the children at the library. It's a safe conversation, a way to ease back into each other's lives. As we get up to leave, Lucas hesitates. Then, he reaches out and touches my shoulder. I'm not ready to fully forgive you yet, Mom. But I'm willing to give you a chance. I feel a surge of emotion, a mixture of relief and gratitude. Thank you, Lucas. That's all I could ask for. We walk out of the cafe together, and I watch as Lucas and Lily walk away. It's not a complete reconciliation, but it's a start. It's a chance for me to prove that I've changed, that I'm worthy of their love and forgiveness. As I drive home, I think about the past year, about the mistakes I've made and the lessons I've learned. I realize that sometimes, the harshest truths are the very beginning of rebirth. I may have lost everything, but I've also gained a new perspective, a new understanding of what's truly important in life. I know that the road ahead will be long and difficult, but I'm ready to face it. I'm ready to learn the lesson of humility, to let go of my pride and my need for control. I'm ready to rebuild the relationships that I've damaged, to become the mother and the person that I should have been all along. There is hope yet.